billions of dollars are pouring into AI companies. Everyone's talking about how this technology is going to replace jobs and revolutionize everything, and yet when you actually look at what's happening behind the scenes, the whole thing starts to look less like a revolution and more like a very expensive disaster waiting to happen. Let me walk you through this, because the numbers are honestly kind of shocking. There's this thing called the Remote Labor Index that basically tested AI on real jobs from Upwork, actual freelance work that people get paid to do, and the results were brutal. We're talking graphic design, 3D modeling, all sorts of tasks that companies keep saying AI can handle now, and the success rate was 3.75% for the best model, which happened to be Claude Opus. 3.75%. Google's Gemini did even worse at 1.25%, meaning that in 96% of cases, the AI either produced corrupted files, incomplete work, or just stuff that didn't meet basic professional standards. And this isn't some cherry-picked test either. These were real jobs that real humans do successfully every single day. Now, you might be thinking, okay, maybe AI is just better at specific things, right? And sure, it can generate logos, scrape data, do some audio work, but the moment you ask it to do something that requires actually understanding the world, it falls apart. There's this example with chess that really drives the point home. You can feed an AI every chess game ever played on the internet, millions and millions of games, and it will still make illegal moves because it's not actually learning the rules of chess, it's just pattern matching, mimicking what it's seen without any comprehension of why those moves work or what they mean. It's like watching someone who's memorized a phrase book try to have a conversation in a foreign language. They might get a few sentences right, but the moment something unexpected happens, the whole thing collapses. And this is causing absolute chaos in the business world because companies bought into the hype, they invested heavily, and now they're realizing it doesn't actually work the way they were promised. MIT put out a report showing that 95% of AI pilots in companies are failing to generate any measurable profit, and 55% of companies actively regret replacing human workers with AI. You've got Taco Bell and McDonald's rolling out these AI drive-through systems that started hallucinating orders. We're talking bacon on ice cream, charging people hundreds of dollars for chicken nuggets, just absolute nonsense. And executives are now on record saying, yeah, it works most of the time, but it fails just often enough that we can't actually rely on it. Most of the time isn't good enough when you're running a business, and that's the core problem nobody wants to admit out loud. The issue goes deeper than just performance, though. It's baked into how these systems are built. The transformer neural networks that power all of this, the architecture from 2017 that everyone's using, they work by predicting the next word based on statistical patterns, and they have no concept of truth or logic or reality. They hallucinate, meaning they just make stuff up, and there's no way to fully stop this because it's not a bug. It's how the system fundamentally operates. So what ends up happening in workplaces is this perverse situation where instead of AI saving time, employees are now spending hours double-checking and triple-checking everything the AI produces because they can't trust it won't fabricate data, mess up schedules, or in one horrifying case that's now a lawsuit, misidentify surgical instruments in a way that allegedly contributed to a patient having a stroke. We're not talking about minor inconveniences here. This technology is being deployed in contexts where mistakes can actually hurt people, and yet the companies building it keep pushing forward because there's too much money on the line to stop now. And speaking of money, the financial side of this is genuinely insane. Google has 26,000 NVIDIA H100 GPUs. Meta has 600,000. These companies are spending amounts of money that are hard to even conceptualize, and the revenue isn't anywhere close to covering the costs. OpenAI's hardware and operational expenses are estimated at $40 billion a year, and they're bringing in maybe 15 to 20 billion in revenue, which means they're hemorrhaging money at a rate that would sink almost any other company. The comparisons to the Dotcom bubble are everywhere now, and they're pretty accurate. Back in the 90s, you had companies with no actual business plan getting massive valuations just for having .com in their name. And now you've got AI companies doing the same thing, except the infrastructure costs are way higher and the path to profitability is way less clear. Microsoft and Google have reportedly paid individual content creators up to $500,000 each just to promote their AI models, which tells you everything you need to know about how revolutionary these products actually are. If they were really that good, they'd sell themselves. The energy usage alone is becoming a problem that nobody has a good answer for. AI has caused a 4% increase in U.S. electricity consumption, and unless there's a massive breakthrough in efficiency, which there's no guarantee of, the whole thing becomes economically unsustainable.
And then there's Apple, which is maybe the most telling story in all of this. Apple is the richest company on the planet. They can hire anyone they want, they have unlimited resources, and they still couldn't make their own AI work well enough to ship it. Their internal AI development completely fell apart. They had delays that were described as ugly and embarrassing, and they ended up paying Google $1 billion a year to lease Gemini for Siri instead. Think about what that means. Apple, a company that obsesses over controlling every piece of their ecosystem, a company that values privacy and vertical integration above almost everything else, looked at their own AI efforts and decided it was better to outsource to Google. That's not a vote of confidence in the technology. That's an admission that current LLMs are too unreliable for the quality standards Apple needs to maintain. And consumers seem to agree, because only 11% of people say they upgrade their phones for AI features. Samsung bet big on Galaxy AI, and it didn't create the sales supercycle they expected. Most people find these features nice to have at best. Siri still can't handle basic requests without defaulting to just showing you Google search results, and while plugging in Gemini might make it slightly better at summaries and planning, it's still fundamentally limited by the same architectural problems every other LLM has. So where does this all lead? Most analysts think we're at what's called the peak of inflated expectations on the Gartner hype cycle, which means we're about to hit the trough of disillusionment where everyone realizes this technology in its current form isn't going to deliver what was promised. Yann LeCun, who actually knows what he's talking about, has been saying that you can't fix the hallucination and reasoning problems just by throwing more data and more computing power at the current architecture. You need a completely new breakthrough, something fundamentally different. Until that happens, we're probably looking at an AI winter, where valuations crash, investment dries up, the internet gets flooded with even more AI-generated garbage than it already has, and companies quietly scale back their AI ambitions to the narrow tasks where it actually works: coding assistance, creative brainstorming, pattern recognition, that kind of thing, instead of trying to force it into roles that need human judgment and reliability. Will AI eventually transform everything? Probably, yeah, the same way the internet did after the Dotcom crash. But right now, we're in the phase where there's a massive disconnect between the trillions of dollars being invested and the actual value being created. And that disconnect can't last forever. Something's got to give. And when it does, it's going to be ugly for a lot of people who bet everything on this being the future. Because it turns out, the future is a lot further away than the marketing departments wanted us to believe.